Hi, let me give you a demonstration of the 6002X Circuit Sandbox. It's a little virtual lab that we use in order to enter circuits online and to explore their behavior using simulation. Let me tell you a bit about it. If we come across the Circuit Sandbox on a page, this is what you'll see. It's a little rectangular piece of the page. In the middle you will find a big piece of graph paper, and this is where we're going to be editing the circuit diagram. So we'll build a circuit diagram here on the graph paper. Across the top you can see a toolbar which has tools for both editing and simulating your circuit. Down at the bottom you'll see the message area where the tool tips appear. And then off on the right is the parts bin. These are all the components that you can insert into your diagram. You'll find that the selection of components available to you differs assignment to assignment. What I'd like to do now is to sketch up a little circuit using my pen and a napkin, and then when we've got it sketched out, I'll show you how to enter it using the Circuit Sandbox. The circuit I have in mind consists of a 1-volt battery. So this is the schematic symbol for a battery, the plus and minus terminal, so 1 volt. And it's going to be connected to a little resistor network, having 3 resistors, in this case 1 at the top and 2 at the bottom. The top resistor will be a 3K ohm resistor, and the 2 bottom resistors will be 2K ohms each. I'm going to use the bottom node as my reference node in the circuit, so that's the node where all the other potentials will be measured relative to that ground node. I would like to determine the current flowing out of the battery and the current that's flowing into the 2 bottom resistors. So that's the sketch of my circuit. Let me show you how to enter it using the Circuit Sandbox. If I come over to the Sandbox screen, what I'm going to do is to go over to the parts bin and come down to a voltage source. Now when I click using my left button, just hold the left button down, I can click and then drag that component onto the graph paper area where I'm going to release the button, and now you can see that I've now inserted a voltage source into the circuit diagram. That's a little small to see, so I'm going to come over here to the zoom controls and zoom in a bit so that my diagram will be a bit bigger. If I want to move this component around, I can basically click on it again, move the mouse over it and click on it, and then move it around the screen however I like, and when I'm happy I can let it go. Now let's insert the resistors. I'm going to come select the resistor part from the parts bin, drag it onto the screen. I'd like to change that resistor to be a 3K ohm resistor, so I'm going to double click on the component to bring up its properties window, and now I can enter a new value for the resistance. I could type in 3000 for 3000 ohms, or because it's a lot easier to read, I'm going to use engineering notation, so I'm going to type in 3K for 3000. Let's build the 2000 ohm resistors, the 2K ohm resistors. Same idea. I'm going to double click it, edit its properties. I could do this, I could drag in a third guy, but I think what I'll do instead is to go off and simply select this component, well it's already selected, and then use my keyboard commands for copy, so Command C and then paste, Command V, to bring another component onto the diagram, another 2K component resistor. I'm going to drag both of these down just a bit and then line up the voltage source with them, like so. So those are the electrical components. I would also like to make some current measurements, so I'm going to come over here and drag a current probe onto the screen so I can measure the current coming out of the battery into the top of the resistor network. I'm also going to bring another component, and while I've got it selected I'm going to type R to rotate it so it's pointing down, and I'm going to basically insert it into the diagram there, and I'm going to do it again so I can measure the current through the other resistor at the bottom, like so. Okay, all the components are on the screen now. I can wire them up by looking at the connection points and dragging wires between them. So the little round circles here represent possible connection points of the diagram. They're the terminals of each of the components. So I can click on one connection point and drag a wire. You can see the ends following the mouse. And when I'm happy, when I got the end where I want it to go, I can just release the button, and now I have a wire in the diagram. So I can quickly go ahead and wire up the remainder of my diagram, like so. Now wires don't have to be horizontal or vertical. They can in fact go diagonally. On the other hand, most circuit diagrams, we try to keep the diagrams neat and tidy by keeping the wires horizontal and vertical, except in special cases. So to edit my diagram, and I come select the component that I don't like, in this case a wire, hit the delete button on my keyboard and drag out the wires that I wish I had. Okay, so at this point the diagram has been completely entered and I'm ready to go ahead and try some of the simulation tools.